Okay, so this video is, or the topic area here is kind of representation, it's kind of race, but it's kind of something else. And here's the deal. So, the reason that I continue to come on this particular channel and then talk about societal issues, which I'm calling like social issues, and then give my opinion in relation to it, even if it's not totally correct. And I want to like talk about that for a second because I feel like there's some idea that like whatever Wikipedia says, whatever Google says is totally correct. Everybody's unbiased. We are all everybody's good. Whatever the law says, it's always being abided by and everything is totally correct. That is so wrong. Oh my god, like society is constantly in this place of like development, like we are consistently developing. Now some of the things that I've learned in terms of like just becoming a better writer are that like it really feels like um you might have something figured out and then you do like a little bit more work and it becomes like apparent that what you thought you knew is probably not totally right. And there's some context that you're missing. Well, it's always going to be the case that you're never going to know and everything. But also sometimes your personal, like wherever you land on like your level of understanding is also just kind of like bluntly incorrect. Now, so where does this come up today? So you guys know I love the Ann Coulter newsletter, blog, whatever the fuck it is. And the reason that I like it so much is because I feel like her perspective is one that is kind of biased, but it's biased in this American way where she's only talking about the lens that like she understands. And like I said, my entire existence is intersectional. So I can't talk about it from like that. Like I can only talk about it from my perspective. Now, okay, so here's what the article says. It says disaffected urban youth to radicalized kids. The chain of euphemisms never ends. So this is from the New York Post from November 25th. She says a pro-Israel teacher hides in a Queens high school as radicalized students riot. Hundreds of radicalized kids rampaged through the halls of a Queens high school this week for nearly 2 hours after they discovered a teacher had attended a pro Israel rally, forcing the terrified educator to hide in a locked office as the teen mob tried to push its way into her classroom. And then she goes on. She says, radicalized kids are previously known as disaffected urban youths, minorities, Afro Americans, disadvantaged, urban youths, African Americans, diverse, teens, marginalized, people of color, formerly incarcerated person, youth. So like I'm looking at the picture of these teens and everyone here isn't black. They don't look like it doesn't look like a primarily white looking group, but they certainly don't look like they're all black. Um, they want her fired. Let's see if they show the video of the school. I don't know. I'm gonna have to watch it and see. I haven't watched this video. I'm like opening the link for the first time. Okay, there's something on TikTok. Oh wow. So there was like a lockdown and multiple fights. Because one of the teachers stands with Israel. So a group of students started a chat, and that led to a riot. Yeah, looking at the picture of this school, these definitely aren't just a high school in Jamaica. Flooded into the hallways, ran amok, shouting and waving Palestinian flags, Hillcrest High School. Let's look up this high school. Jamaica's in Queens. That's in New York. So is it? Sorry, let's go back for a second. Tabs. It's called Hillcrest High School in Jamaica, Queens. So let's see, racial breakdown of students. Jamaica, Queens, New York. It's called Hillcrest High School. Okay, yeah. So Hillcrest High School, it's in Jamaica. It looks like it's 36% Hispanic, 28% Asian, 25% African American, 4% Asian, 2% white, 1% Pacific Islanders. So it's actually a mostly Hispanic school. So I'm not sure. I saw the video of the kids, and when I first glanced at it, I'm like, that's not a primarily black high school for sure. And you look at the numbers, and it's like, yeah, it's not. Like basically half the kids in the video look like they're either Asian or Latino. The other half they do look black. But the way that Ann Coulter is talking about it, she's using all basically probably none of those teenagers are African American. And you can tell mostly because it's Queens. So if you know the breakdown of if you've been to the boroughs in New York and Queens is one of the places that's kind of like, if you've seen that movie, the one oh shit, what's it called? Oh my god, there's a movie that just came out, and it's not South High, South. I'll think of this movie, but it's a movie about this oh my god, what? So it's like a movie about New York, Tina family. In the Heights. In the Heights is what I'm thinking of. Go look at all the actors from In the Heights. If you're white, those actors probably look black. If you're black, you're like, they aren't us. And New York is one of the most ethnically and racially diverse places on the planet. And yeah, a lot of immigrants actually live in Queens. Queens and Harlem are places where you'll find a lot of basically brown and black people all mixed up, but they're from all over the planet. So it definitely isn't. Those are probably that's probably a high school of first generation immigrants. So the way that Ann is talking about them is oh, we're already familiar with these people. They're urbanized youth. I'm not really sure what that means in this case when half the people that she's talking about are literally first generation immigrants. But okay, urban youth, I get it. They probably live in a city. They probably live in public housing, maybe. They certainly live in a city and are probably, their families are a little more low income than higher income. I would say that. Formerly incarcerated person, that I'm not really seeing that high school students aren't usually formally incarcerated, so that doesn't really apply. I probably would categorize this group if I had to put a label on the entire group. Yes, I would say these are students of color for sure. They don't seem white. But here's the thing that I think is important here. So how can I say it? The these students most likely have a more of an affinity toward rap and hip hop culture, toxic masculinity culture, and not traditional like academia in the same way that more of like an upper middle class neighborhood would have. I can just tell you that by like what I experienced from like the 2 years that I went to like Oakland School for the Arts, where I was around. It was a much more like black school when I went. Just kind of like the way everyone acted, the like they were so unfamiliar with like just everything, even the things that I guess we thought were like urban culture. They just weren't really familiar with it at all. Like we liked iPods and music, you know, Converse, Chuck sneakers and things like that. But like they didn't even know like what I was talking about when I first went there. Everybody thought it was nuts that I had like an iPod. I thought that was anyway, not the point. So then we have to talk about like mentorship for a minute. And so like, okay, so these black youth who are like so upset about Palestine, I feel like they've been radicalized via TikTok. So I was talking to my coworker about this today, and then we were like, yeah, these youth probably want something to believe in, and that made sense. These youth probably do want something to believe in, but it's not like useful for them to believe in like killing or like terrorizing a teacher. Not killing, I'm sorry, terrorizing a teacher isn't like, how is that useful to anyone? It's not useful to the teacher obviously, but even to them, like, here's the point, the woman might be Jewish. That's the part here that really, it scares the shit of me. It scares the shit out of me from both sides, because I honestly think that at the end of the day, most people want to have and hold their personal community and their personal values, and they don't want to share. I feel like it has been very difficult for Black Americans specifically to kind of understand their cultural heritage and where they, you know, where their lineage transcends from in Africa, just because you have to listen to so many other stories of so many other cultural groups who do have this like real sense of identity. I am Mexican, I am Italian, I am blah blah blah. Well, we are Africans and we are black, and like that is our real identity. And I saw there's these group of these twins or whatever, and I guess to me they look black, but I don't know, maybe they're not. I don't, maybe they don't identify as black. I really don't know. It's, but I feel like of all the white supremacists that I've met, they would definitely call them niggers. So I don't, like, I'm not sure. In some world though, they are not, and I'm not here to like personally classify other people. Like, I just, it's not that deep to me. Anyway, but they were basically calling like other people black. Like, they have like excluded themselves from being ethnically black, whatever that means to them or doesn't. And then they have like also said like, okay, but these other people, so it's like they're conflating ideas like class and race, like they're the same thing, which is so fascinating. It's like, okay, and they were asking a question like, why are poor black people, why aren't they able to like do anything? Why do they need the turkey? They were talking about how the immigrants need the turkeys and stuff because they like just came over and like they don't have any money to like buy the turkey, so that's why they need to get in line to get a free turkey. But if you have been here for a while, then what's your reason for like needing free turkey? And that's a good ass question. Like, I wonder that too. Like, why would you, if you haven't kind of figured out that in America we function off of like capitalism and like you just have to have money to like do shit. Like, things cost money, and like that's the way it is. There's like no way around it. There's no like funny joke that's going to get you out of it. And also, like, people who have more money get nicer things: schools, food, housing, opportunities, treatment. Like, everything is better like the more money that you have, and that is just the reality, because you can just buy shit. You can buy things here. So okay, so like what does that mean for like everyone else, I guess, like people who like can't buy things possibly? um I don't know, like I don't have like a concrete answer here. But like, if for instance this particular group of students from this particular high school in Jamaica, Queens, New York, are trying to understand like are we supposed to be upset about this? Um, Honestly, I would say no. Like, this group of students being upset seems out of place for a lot of reasons. First of all, like, they probably are just super ill informed. Like, TikTok is like radicalizing people in these strange ways because they're forming these opinions. They're like getting round up. Like, Instagram has been doing it for a while where you'll see like a picture of something and nobody will really know what the picture means. Just like a picture of something. And also, it might be a picture of one person and somebody's thinking it's another person. Like, people always mistake me for other people and they're like, it's her. Like, no, honey, like, that ain't me. It's a girl who looks kind of like me, but it isn't like me, which is why it's like really representation is so important for that way. Because look at all the identifiers that like Anne used here that don't really like identify like this group. Not all of them. I mean, have you, this is a public high school. There's also like technical high schools where if a student, I guess, if a student is incarcerated, that student would be incarcerated. Referring to a group of high school students as being incarcerated people or formerly incarcerated people is just like misterming something. Like, you're just talking out of your ass. You're just like literally using all the derogatory terms you can use, which is a problem also. That's racializing a group, and that's offensive. But I think that she also has a point. Like, these urban youth, which I would agree. I think that's a proper term for this group. These urban youth, okay, like they haven't been in a part of suburbia, a part of like kind of, how do you say it, like white picket fenced Americana. Like, that isn't the portion of society that they are familiar with now and probably ever. And they are like, they are kind of sticking their toe in a geopolitical issue. They're being upset and their feelings are really hurt about a geopolitical issue that doesn't really affect their personal group at all, but they're feeling an affinity toward the oppressed group in this situation. Well, one oppressed group in this situation, because they themselves feel like they personally should have an affinity toward objectification because they are black in America or because they are of color in America. Even though there might not have been an actual instance in their real lived experience that, you know, has objectified them. And because the representation is so slim, they don't have images or knowledge of other people who are in their groups or similar groups, affiliate groups, like family member ties, anything like that that would show them and prove to them, oh, you are able to do something different or be something different because I know this person who did it in real life, not just like some written story. Also, there's just not that many written stories of like kind of black American heroes. I'm tired of hearing about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. Those are both dead men. Fuck them. They did what they did. They said what they said. Both of them were problematic in their own ways, okay? But this is 2023 and those people are dead. If you want to learn from their ideas, go read the books. But apply that shit to 2023 because it's a new day. That's important. Now, I think that these kids, if they wanted to do anything, as opposed to like, as first of all, what that teacher did was hold up a flag at an Israel rally. Like, there are real hostages that Hamas took that are Jewish people, and they took them from Israel. That's a real thing that happened. If someone stole your family member right now from Brooklyn or something, wouldn't you be upset? Like, someone steals your baby sister from Brooklyn, and then you're gonna be like, oh, well, no, support America, or something like that. Well, whoever the group is that took your family member, you probably would sit there with a picture of your family member and be like, bring them back. That's like a normal ass feeling. I'm not even sure how you could not understand that. So people holding up like pro-Israel signs have a right to do that. Israel is also a real place right now. Like, it's on the map. People live there, and hostages were taken from Israel. That's real. Also, the Gaza Strip is completely occupied by Israeli, like, kind of occupation and policies, and it looks like it's a police state right now and has been for some time. Like both of those things are existing at the same time, and it's not really like simple, and it's kind of not really fair. But if you are on the side of justice, which it seems like these students are trying to, however, like be on the side of like justice, they don't even understand how their actions are illogical. They're nonsensical. And I too, like, I feel awful for the Palestinian people and the Palestinian children who are being murdered. But also the Jewish hostages that were taken. The shit that happened to the Jewish people during the bombing, like there was actually like events that happened when Hamas terrorists, okay, like bombed a lot of people, and that shit is not cool. It's like that isn't okay. War is shady. War is not, oh, it's not good. And it's another reason why I feel like, you know, if you want to move into a more peaceful society in general, it is going to have to be a homogenous situation. This whole idea around like cultural assimilation and like multiculturalism is bullshit. Like what you need is like particular land for particular groups of people, and I'm not sure what these urban youth are trying to prove here. It doesn't seem sensical to me, and I really wonder like where their parents, their role models, their guardians are, and why they're okay with them behaving in this way. Like they have parents. They have parents. Why aren't their parents talking to them about this? Why? I feel like the parents are responsible here. The parents need to be held accountable. Like if this is an issue that is so pressing to the student body here, then they need to like give these youth an opportunity to speak about it. They could hold a symposium where students go up one by one and then just start spouting out the problems that they have with this teacher who is, it seems like she just is Jewish. Like that's a form of racial discrimination if you have a group of parents and people on the internet who are saying like a Jewish person can't work in a school because they are pro-Israel when they just are Jewish. Like that is actual racism. Like I've said in another video, the Hamas attack demonstrated to me one of the first times I've seen anti-Semitism play out in real life. This has been one of those times. Like people are really saying like anti-Semitic things, and it's kind of gross. But also like a lot of people who have this like harbored pent up aggression and anger toward the other group, like seeing Jewish women tell other Palestinian women to go die and be blown up and raped and shit. Both of those forms of like aggression are gross, and it just really showcases to me the need for like, honestly, like I heard the twins say this and they were joking about it. They were like, we should just suck it up and give the black people reparations to go back to Africa. I'm telling you, that is the solution. That is like actually the solution. Like actually. I don't know what it is, but it just doesn't feel like black youth here are not thriving. And they like, you would want them to thrive. And for if they're gonna continue to do shit like this, like every single time I see coverage of like black youth groups, it was like the July 4th thing. Candace Owens covered it. They were like just robbing and stealing stores. A lot of the black youth are terrorizing city streets where they're like stealing, and then there's all these like movies and shows and TV shows and all this shit that just keeps coming out to continue to promote this behavior, and no one's stopping it. And then other groups are like looking at everyone and being like, it's all of them. It's all of them. Like, I am black. I am not doing that. But also, like, there's some portions of the frustration that these black youth feel that I can actually identify with because I am black. I don't like support or promote their behavior a lot of the time, but I understand their frustration. And so the twins who are, we'll call them kind of black, who are making jokes about giving reparations to send black people back to Africa, I don't actually take that as a joke. I take that as truth and as a real solution. I think that you should actually just let the black people who want to go back to Africa go. Just give them some money and like let them go, including me. Like I want to go. I plan to go. And that's not some negative or shady thing. Like I don't feel I don't really care about how anyone else feels about Africa, to be honest. Um, that isn't a factor that's playing into me making a decision about where I want to go. It's also not my problem if like you are unfamiliar with like the culture there. Anyway, there are actually a couple of articles that I've been reading about, like, because I put on notifications for like Ethiopia specifically. That's where I plan to live, to learn more about the culture and the region. And so I'll just start reading these articles out loud to you and kind of talking about like my feelings around it, how it is related to um, me and what I plan to do, I suppose. Um, yeah, okay. Yeah, but I get that it just rubbed me a wrong, kind of like the wrong way, right? When she's using all of these terms to talk about all of these youth, and it felt like not good. I don't know. What do you guys think?